So, pop and folk culture. So, what does culture mean to you? So, you can think about things like your traditions at your house, your values, maybe your religion, your clothing, types of food you eat. So, culture, the values, material artifacts, and political institutions of a group of people. So things like language, religion, food, types of music, symbols, values, beliefs, norms, technology, all those things. So on the test, you're also going to see something about habits and customs. So habits are a repetitive act of an individual. So that's the key. A habit is an individual. Customs is a repetitive act of a group of people. So being late, you can see this picture, that would be a habit. Someone's late to class all the time, it's an individual action. Or blowing bubbles, it's done by an individual, it's a habit. Customs are more like things like religion. A large group of people practice religion, or a holiday like Thanksgiving. A large group of people celebrate Thanksgiving, so that would be a custom. Wearing blue jeans, that would be a custom. It's very popular. Almost everybody wears blue jeans in the United States. And then also, again, religion is practiced by a group of people, so it's a custom. All right, so habit or custom. So if it's a group of people, what is that? It's practiced by an individual. What is that? So individual is obviously habit. Group is custom. Eating with chopsticks. That would be a custom. It's large groups of people use chopsticks in certain countries. A lot of Asian countries, Japan especially. Arriving tardy to class, that would be a habit. Tapping your foot, habit, things done by an individual. Going to church on Sunday, that would be a custom. It's done by a large group of people. Okay, so we have material culture and non-material culture. So material things are things you can touch, right? Like a food or your technology or your house or artwork or your clothes. Those would all be material culture. Non material, things you can't touch, non material culture would be like a language, beliefs and values, religion, a political system. So on your reading guide, it's asking you: is there three types of material culture? So there'd be things that you really need, um, is like food and housing, or luxury goods like technology, fancy clothes, or artwork. That's like something that's not essential. All right. Can something be both material and non material culture? Yes, it can. A cross is a material, you can touch it, but it also represents a non material culture, which is like a religious belief. Also, the American flag is a material culture. You can touch the flag, but it also represents a political system. So it can be non material culture as well. A house, what would that be? Material culture, right? Lying a lot. What would that be? Is that a custom or a habit? I would say that's a habit. It's done by an individual. All right, fruit carving tools from Thailand. So that would be a part of material culture is the tool. And then also it could be a custom, the way they carve their fruit. That could be a custom. All right, so we're going to look at superstitions. I'm sure people have heard about superstitions before. It's the belief that something gives you good luck or bad luck. Four-leaf clovers, people believe, bring you good luck. The number seven's good luck. Black cats are bad luck. Friday the 13th. That's a superstition, which would be bad luck. Spilling the salt, bad luck as well. So superstitions, believing that something represents something that's good or bad. All right, so some more material culture, cars, buildings, non-material culture, languages, material culture, something you can touch, ring, that would be a material culture. All right, so now we're going to look at folk culture. So folk culture, I believe this one is in your reading guide. The practice of a custom by a small group of people in a small isolated area. So it's practiced in small communities, way out in the countryside usually, in less developed countries a lot of times. It's often passed down from generation to generation. Someone's grandparents were farmers, so they're farmers, and their grandparents' parents were farmers. So it's passed down, and it's based on tradition. People, and they're resistant to change because they really like their tradition, and they're keeping their tradition alive. And a lot of times they have handmade with local materials like their clothing, the things they make, they harvest right where they live and make their own things. They don't go to the store many times to buy things. So some examples in the United States, we have the Amish people. They don't drive cars. They don't have electricity. They make all their clothes. They make all their food. They live off the land. Also examples of folk culture is traditional Spanish and Hawaiian clothing. A lot of the students at Johnson are Hmong, and they have traditional clothes as well. That would be considered folk culture. Teaching children to harvest crops according to tradition. So this would be folk culture. They're doing it by hand. They're not doing it with the big tractor. A tractor would be more popular culture. A Portuguese fishing boat, a Guatemalan market. These would be things in folk culture as well. Turkish camel market where they sell camels. That would be folk culture. Native American tribal dances, that's folk culture. And folklore stories, old stories, folk tales, folklore, that would be part of folk culture. And then also types of music like Cajun music with guitars and banjos, some older music like that. That would be folk culture. All right, so now we're going to look at popular culture. So it's kind of the opposite of folk culture, the practice of customs by a large group of people worldwide. So practice in large areas, big cities, trendy or popular at the time. So sometimes things are pop culture, but they phase out really fast. Things that were popular like 5 years ago or music might not be popular anymore. So it changes very quickly. Products are made efficiently using like assembly lines, large factories, things like that. And popular culture is happening in more developed countries. So kind of the opposite. Folk culture was in less developed countries. So, all right. So some examples of pop culture: MTV, fast food restaurants, different styles, ball caps, beanies, and this changes the way people wear their hats. Flat bill was popular for a while, and then curved bill. Things change. Starbucks is part of pop culture. The Kardashians are part of pop culture, sadly. And different things, Beanie Babies. Some of you might remember Beanie Babies. Those were big with pop culture. These wristbands, I can't remember what those are called. I'm sure some of you remember. Different hairstyles, these scrunchy ties. Definitely part of pop culture. Those scrunchies were popular back in the 80s, and they seem to be coming back a little bit from what I've seen. So definitely part of pop culture. All right, so we're going to skip down to... All right, so when folk culture meets pop culture. So something that starts as folk culture can become pop culture. So soccer is a good example of that. This was really folk culture, not happening really worldwide, but now it has taken off and it's actually the world's most popular sport now. So it went from folk culture to popular culture. There might be a test question on that one. All right, so checkpoint here. Is this folk or pop culture, the skinny jeans? What do you think? And I'll let you think about that one. And we're going to move on here. All right, everyone. So that was it. That was a little bit of a long video.